We're going to give an overview now of the AHD analog high definition 50 meter bullet camera. The basic specs on this is it has a 50 meter IR, it has a varifocal lens of 6 to 22 millimeters, an output of 720p, which is equivalent to just over 1.3 megapixels. So it really is giving extremely high resolution pictures on it. There's a unique feature on this particular camera where you can actually go into the menu option on it and choose to run it as a standard or an AHD camera. So it makes it backward compatible to older, lower resolution DVRs. So the format of this video is going to be, I'm going to go into some detail in relation to exactly what we get in the box, the setup on the camera, and then we're going to demonstrate it here. And we can actually see here just an identical camera that we have set up aimed over here, and it's just giving a really high resolution picture. Certainly the best pictures we've ever seen in terms of the various units we've things, and equivalent to what you can achieve really with the IP cameras. But in terms of setup, it's much simpler, and for people who have already a CCTV system and are just looking at upgrading, we'll say, maybe their DVR on some of the cameras, you can reuse the existing cables. And if you have a skill set in that area as an installer or professional, it's just much straighter, more obvious how to do things with, we'll say, the AHD than it is with the IP. Now, so we have this. The outer box here it comes in. We have a user manual, and we just have some general specification sheet on it. We have this small marker here we use for marking a wall, so we can mount the camera directly onto it. We have some screws and plugs here which we'll use for mounting the camera again, and also then we have a screwdriver and an Allen key. And we have this 2.1 millimeter power input. If we look at the output from the cameras, it's exactly like the standard or the 960H cameras. We have a B&C connection for the picture, and we also have a power input here, which the 2.1 millimeter fits perfectly, okay? So then we move on to the main show, which is the actual bullet camera itself. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to unscrew the top cover here, and this is obviously the rain and sun shield. So we just go directly in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this around so you can have a better look at the front. So you can just see we have the varifocal lens and obviously a large array of LEDs around. And we're going to demonstrate the night vision on this in a few moments. And using the screwdriver wish, we could actually use this just to open the back end. And we can see we have a menu system that's in here. So hopefully this will be reasonably clear to you on it. But basically what we have is, and I might just come to the front to point this out a little bit more effectively. We have a focus and a zoom option here, and we can use just our flathead screwdriver here to get in and just adjust that. So obviously we zoom into a certain area and then we bring it into focus. In terms of the LED power output on it, if we want to avoid glare in certain circumstances, we can actually reduce just the LED lights on it. And then there's a spot monitor output here as well, which you could use. Normally we're using just ordinary handheld meters for the same effect, so we can find them quite effective. And then finally what we have here is we just have up and down, right and left, and a set button here to allow us to access the menu. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is I'm just actually going to go over to our camera that's over here. We're just going to demonstrate a few things on it. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is we're just going to knock off the lights, and I'm just going to show you the night vision that's on this camera. You can just see, it'll take a moment to come back into focus, but you can see the sheer crispness of the picture here. It's quite incredible. And I'll just maybe put my hand over something like that, and just you can have a look then. And it just gives, obviously we're very close to the camera there, but the general resolution in the picture there is very good, far superior to anything that would have been seen in previous camera systems that were available here. In relation to the whether we're going to run it in standard or in high definition, well, most people obviously, if you have an AHD DVR, you're definitely going to, but if you're just buying this camera to upgrade onto an existing system, what you could do is you can come along and you can just hit the left button, which I showed earlier on the setup. It was one of the 5 buttons together. We would just hold it in for 3 seconds. We'll just see here, it'll just come back up and it'll say PAL in the corner. So that's gone back to a more standard definition, maybe 700 TVL or the equivalent there. And if we come along here, if we just come along and hit the right button now, I'll be able to flick it back over to the full high definition. And you can see it here, it's just a much clearer, crisper picture. If we come along here, we can adjust the focus here just with the screwdriver. So I'll just bring it out of focus maybe for a minute, and then I can just bring it back in here. And the same with the zoom. And if we want to bring up the menu structure on it, we can just come in here and you see we have a very extensive menu here. So we could come down to day and night here, for instance. We can just go in here and we can make certain changes. Or if we want to get out, we can just exit out. Come all the way down to the exit option and out we go. So overall, we'll say you can see the flexibility on it and the easy use with the menus is very, very impressive. It's part of a much wider range of AHD cameras, DVRs, etc. that we're investing in now, and we're going to leave them sitting in the one section along with traditional, we'll say standard 960H, because all of these are just incremental improvements, same cable, same connector, same technology, and I think it'll just be a lot easier to get people to make the jump from, we'll say, the standard and semi-high definition that 960H gave us to the full high definition that's applicable here. So this particular camera is quite exciting simply because it's usable with the older DVRs and also allows people to invest in cameras that will work with the newer technology that AHD DVRs are obviously offering. So that's it anyway, an overview of the AHD/standard 720p bullet camera.